Resident Evil 4 Remake and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom have a strong chance too. But unless those games give me head while I'm playing, it's gonna be very hard for them to match the sheer quality of Pizza Tower. Damn! Damn! It actually did it! Resident Evil 4. What can I say about this game that hasn't been said already? This game isn't just a classic, it isn't just a masterpiece, it's a game that defined the whole genre, a game whose influence can be seen in other incredible games even to this day. On a more personal level, this is a game that caused me an irreparable trauma that continues to torment me to this day. For more information, please check out my previous Resident Evil video that almost nobody watched. But just as I have said previously, this game is so fantastic that it has made me overcome my trauma, most of the time, just so I can continue playing it because it's that good! And the coolest part about it is how accessible it is. It's like a modern day Doom, but not as exaggerated. Since the 6th generation of consoles, you can find it on almost every platform. The GameCube, the Wii, PS4, Xbox, PC, it even got an iPhone version of questionable quality. Resident Evil 4 is on everything you can imagine, except for the Google Stadia. No wonder it failed. Despite the crazy number of ports this game has gotten, they have barely done any changes to it outside of having a better resolution and frame rate, cause this is a game that still holds so well for today's standards. I think that any person who plays it for the first time will end up being more than satisfied, and that's the thing. I don't believe I met a single person who dislikes Resident Evil 4, because this game is so well crafted that, even though it has aged in a few areas, it's still a fantastic time that delivers a perfect blend of action, horror, and cheesiness. So when you hear that game is getting a remake, I think the first thing that crosses your mind is... Huh? Why? And I mean, I don't think you can blame anyone for thinking that. Resident Evil 4 may have aged in some areas, sure, but did it age so much to the point of needing a remake? With games like the classic RE games, it's easy to see why the remakes were so well received, except for 3. The originals are still beloved and still playable even today, but their age clearly begged for a fresh coat of paint to be more appealing to new players. In fact, when the RE4 remake was announced, I remember seeing people so confused cause they expected Code Veronica to be the next one in line. And yeah, no shit, that's a game who could really use some extra polish, definitely more than RE4. But okay, RE4 is the one getting the remake whether we like it or not. And you know, I wanted to be optimistic. If Capcom could pull off a masterpiece with the RE2 remake, how could we be so sure they wouldn't be able to do it again with 4? So, time passes and they continue to show more of the game, the character redesigns, how different yet familiar they look in the RE engine, how snappy the gameplay seemed, all the new mechanics like barring a fucking chainsaw with a knife! Needless to say, this was one of those cases where every single trailer they show only helped to make me more and more excited. I wasn't planning to get the game right away, but my excitement to play it was so much I borrowed a copy from a friend even before he could finish his own playthrough. Thank you, Gil, you're the best, I love you! So I played through it and... oh... If the original Resident Evil 4 is considered peak among third-person shooters, the remake has earned that title once again. One would think that all they did was redo everything once again, but with a prettier coat of paint and nice quality of life features. Well...
the answer is yes and no.
Because they somehow managed to make this feel like a totally new experience that pays respects to the source material. I'm just gonna get the most obvious thing out of the way. Graphically, the game looks stellar. I know that's a given, but no matter what game uses the RE engine, it never ceases to amaze me. Modern Resident Evil, Devil May Cry 5, Monster Hunter Rise, these games are top-notch in terms of graphics and RE4 is no exception. There's so much detail in every environment, in all the small details, how the characters move, react and interact with their surroundings. And the sound design is just as exquisite and satisfying as the original game. I was a bit worried that my Generation 1 PS4 wouldn't be able to run the remake properly. But I honestly rarely came across any issues, almost no frame drops at all. And the only problems I had were some textures not loading properly on some rare occasions. But I didn't mind at all. From beginning to end, the remake was a smooth experience that was always performing great, even though I had to endure a lot of... Okay, so, The first thing that caught my attention was the gameplay. If you played the remakes before this one, you shall feel right at home. Tank controls are nowhere to be seen, and I'm sure that's a plus for many people out there. Aiming and shooting is immensely comfortable, especially with the addition of being able to move freely while aiming. I know these are standard things for any third-person shooter, but for RE4 it does a ton of wonders. But my favorite part is just how snappy the whole game is. You see, I've mentioned this in the past, but one of my, perhaps controversial opinions in gaming is that I prefer Resident Evil 5 over 4, and one of the main reasons is because of how fast-paced the former is. In RE4, for as much as I love the game, it always had a ton of, oh, here comes some ganados, let me shoot one in the face, use a melee attack, use my knife, now I pause to swap to my shotgun, there it is, I use my shotgun, let me pause again to equip a grenade, I use my grenade, let me pause again to swap to my pistol, and so on and so on. Meanwhile in RE5, yes, there is some item management you gotta do with your partner, but when all is said and done, fighting Maginis is so damn fun, frantic and snappy. I don't have to pause every 5 seconds just to enjoy myself. The RE4 remake effectively eliminated my main issue with the original. The attached case is back, and just like before, it's an incredibly fun way to manage your items. But now you can also set your weapons through shortcuts, so that when you're in battle you can swap between them without having to pause. And it is so intuitive and easy to get used to. And to top it all off, your knife has been given a whole new degree of relevance, since it can be used to parry enemy attacks, escape from grabs more easily, and even silently take out ganados, saving you some bullets. However, you can't abuse this, because your knife can break after a few uses, and I really like this, because this added a whole new degree of strategy in how I approach combat. But, even if Leon is more mobile and the game is snappier, that doesn't mean you're always at an advantage, cause the ganados are now way more aggressive, relentless, smarter, and I wanna say I found them to be more resilient now. All while keeping the wide enemy variety the original game was known for. It's so easy to get overwhelmed if you don't react fast enough, but that combination of fast-paced gameplay and a great challenge curve made the adventure a blast. Also, I know what I'm about to say is very predictable, especially coming from me, but the boss battles were all incredible. They've been modified in great ways, they all felt so fun, tense, over the top, but still incredibly challenging. Oh, by the way, a bit off topic, but can I mention how much I appreciate they even fixed the ganados dialogue? So, in the original game they all spoke Spanish, makes sense, right? Except that the voices were clearly Mexican dialect. Now in the remake they all speak proper Spanish from Spain. I know it's a small thing, but that's the point. It's a small detail they care to fix. But alright, let's move on. Exploration has also changed a bit for the best. Areas like the village and the castle have been greatly expanded upon, giving players the opportunity to explore at their leisure, and there's tons of incentive to do so. Just like in the original, there's a lot of treasure scattered all over the place. And more than that, there's also side quests you can do, giving you a ton of neat rewards. This does ask for some backtracking at times, but the speed is so comfortable, I honestly never thought of that an issue. I think my only problem is that I found myself constantly bringing up the map just to make sure I hadn't missed anything. But that's more of a me thing, not the game's fault. Then you have the story. It's still the same plot of Leon traveling to Spain to rescue the president's daughter, all while dealing with a cult called Los Iluminados.
Of course, Mr. Biden. I will go house to house and kill every single villager, man, woman, or child, all for you.
Alright, that's fucking insane. You sound fucking deranged.
But things don't develop the exact same way, and I think the game takes great advantage of this for the best. Easily, one of my favorite parts about that is how the characters were handled and even fleshed out further. Like, Leon is definitely more serious and gritty than in RE2, but he still wants to crack Evil Dead one-liners. Just think about it. When you have people hype over the fact that the bingo line is still in the game, that speaks lengths on how well his characterization was done. Ashley was enhanced in every single aspect. What I enjoy the most about her in the remake is how she bounced back and forth with Leon. Instead of feeling like a damsel in distress all the time, she develops a fantastic partner bond that is hard not to love. Her and Leon got some of the best interactions in the entire game. Honestly, the remake made me hope that someday she returns in a future game. Luis Serra isn't just a character who appears a few times, dies halfway through, and has some cool lore anymore. He has many more interactions and involvement with the plot. He becomes so endearing that it makes you wish this is one of those cases where the story will radically change so he can appear in future games. And yes, I wanna say I also enjoyed Data and Krauser's portrayal in the remake, even if I prefer the old voice actors for them. And that's not even mentioning how iconic villains like Vitores Mendez, Salazar, Verdugo, and Sattler all get more fleshed out thanks to notes and documents you can find all around the game. I think my only disappointment is that Salazar doesn't shit-talk Leon as frequently as before. He still has that bastard energy here, but this lack of dialogue led to the absence of some iconic lines.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
See, when I said the remake takes advantage of things not playing exactly the same, I wasn't just talking about the story. Even though you're in familiar territory, the remake still loved to throw curveballs when you least expect it. Whether it be the story, characters, events, secrets, there was always a surprise waiting for me. I can't tell you how many times I found myself saying, "Oh yeah, in the original game, this thing happened, now I'm prepared for that." Only for the remake to pull off something completely different that will catch me off guard, or in some cases, traumatize me once again. No. No, 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 please, please. But that was still so cool, because I will have an idea of what to expect, but not what will happen exactly. It added so much to the tension. See, this game was a very special experience for me, because I wasn't just reliving my past horrors and irreparable traumas the original one gave me. It also made me experience the fear of the unknown. So at least for me, this game did its job as a horror title. It made me scream, it made me panic, but by the end of it, I can say it was all worth it. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a very interesting case. As we have seen so far, everyone was so confused as to why it exists. Even the developers themselves didn't want to do it at first, because they thought RE4 had such high prestige that any miscalculation in the remake would be insulting to fans. Yet, they still put their all in developing a game that can stand side by side to the original. And not gonna lie, in my eyes, in my personal opinion, this remake completely surpasses the original. And I don't mean to make the 2005 release any less, but the remake just improved on every single thing I could think of. The gameplay is better, smoother, snappier, and more frantic. The enemies are a ton more aggressive and relentless that any error will cause me to panic. Exploration is much more fun and has great incentives to search every nook and cranny. The experience constantly surprises you with notable changes and memorable events. And the story, while it is definitely darker and more serious than the original, still has that campy, over-the-top charm that made us fall in love with it in the first place. No matter what angle I look at it, the Resident Evil 4 Remake is a game that has so much love and passion in every single aspect of it. As I said already, it feels so fresh and unique, but it never disrespects the original at any point. Yeah, you can use the argument that they remove some areas and some content, but they compensate for that by reworking and expanding upon other things. And I mean, if you want the remake to be exactly as the original, then just fucking play the original. See, that's the thing. There's still merit in checking the first RE4. Same way the Resident Evil 2 Remake is a masterpiece, but it's still worth your time to check the original RE2. In the end, no matter which version you prefer, both are guaranteed masterpieces. Just don't be like those people online claiming that the remake is woke because you can't see Ashley's panties anymore. Please, just don't. And if you ironically say that, then I will personally go to your house and... ¡Te voy a hacer picadillo!